What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Hitstun TV. We are live all the way here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm Rod the Dutch, man. I'm accompanied by two wonderful co-hosts as well, man. HL_Lincoln and a New Age's very own Censored. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing pretty well. So it's been a fun-filled weekend, and glad to kick off this show. So.
I think so, man. Now, I know we're all pretty big Disney fans, pretty big Marvel fans, so I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Let's go ahead and just jump right into the nitty-gritty of things. Spider-Man Homecoming. How we feeling about it?
Better than I thought.
Really?
The bar for me was set pretty low because that trailer was released, and the trailer literally went, "Oh, I'm Spider-Man. I got powers. Oh, Iron Man. Thanks for this suit.
Yeah.
I screwed up. Oh no, I'm taking your suit." And then it was like just that played the whole movie. So I was like, I don't know, but it was actually really good. I really liked it. So.
Yeah, it definitely had a different tone than most of the other Spider-Man movies. I know the first. Well, I guess the first one that a lot of people call the first actually isn't the first. The one with Tobey Maguire. I think that's actually the second iteration of Spider-Man. But at least like on the big screen. But it definitely had a different tone. It kind of felt like Ferris Bueller's Day Off met Spider-Man. It was really weird to see him not be able to fight, not be able to do his hand-to-hand combat and things as such. It was definitely, like I said, a different tone. Much lighter, though, than the third iteration with Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker. That one kind of felt like The Dark Knight meets Spider-Man and so on and so forth. But I'm actually, not too mad at Spider-Man Homecoming. It takes place 8 years after the first Avengers.
Yeah, I think that was right.
I'm not exactly sure what year we're in because the first Avengers was 2012, so I don't know what the heck is going on with the time.
Everything's going to be a little off. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least it's not like Fox off, though, because that's like mega off.
What? You mean the X-Men timeline? That thing makes so much sense.
Come on.
It's just all come together.
Come on, man. So, some interesting tidbits to kind of touch on in the, Spider-Man Homecoming film. The biggest one is his admiration for Tony Stark. I think that's really something that kind of touches everybody's heart. There's a scene, I believe, in Iron Man 2 or 3 where, like, there's a kid and he, like, points his blaster at one of the bad robots.
That was the second one.
The second one, where he fought the Whiplash. Almost said the Ironmonger. Fought Whiplash. And, allegedly, that is canon, and that was actually Peter Parker, So he was a huge Tony Stark fan as a kid, and now here he is saving the day. Not saving the overall day yet, but, saving the day in New York.
Well, yeah, speaking of, we saw him in the leaked Infinity War trailer.
Man.
That trailer doesn't exist, guys.
Well, I think he's going to be in Infinity War, is what we should be saying.
Yeah, Rodney showed me that a couple of weeks ago at my apartment, and I'm like, bruh, this looks like a bootleg. Like, somebody was sitting in the theater, and then, like, somebody walks by.
Yeah.
The movie theater guy just comes up like, sure, you got to turn your camera off. Oh, man.
Yeah, that leaked trailer was pretty good, to be leaked. Whoever recorded that, I'm sure that they want to remain anonymous, but that was still pretty decent quality for the most part. And since then, people on YouTube have kind of went back and touched it up a bit and tried to edit out the background sound. But let's talk about some of the things we've seen. So I think first and foremost, it looks like it takes place right after Thor Ragnarok. I think we both know that. We all know that for the most part. Thor Ragnarok. That's kind of like the movie that bridges the gap between like the gods and the aliens. So Guardians of the Galaxy are going to get a crash course in the Thor universe towards the tail end of that film. And then it looks like it just leads right into Infinity War. Kind of like there was a few of the other Marvel Cinematic Universe films that kind of led right into each other as well. But yeah.
And there was some information that was sort of leaked, or maybe it was intentional. I can't remember if it was Marvel or someone else. They wanted to say that the Infinity War trailer was supposed to come out closer in the fall, like November. That's the same time as Ragnarok's coming out.
Yeah.
My theory is the trailer is supposed to be the post-credit scene for Ragnarok.
Like one of the Captain America movies did that.
It was the first Captain America after the credits. It was the first Avengers like teaser trailer thing.
Makes a lot of sense.
So that's my theory on when we'll get the good version of the trailer. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that mindset. The beggars can't be choosers. I'm super excited for that. Thanos finally has the gauntlet, and he gets off the ship. He uses one of the stones, obviously, to like kind of port himself from one dimension to another. And man, I'm not exactly sure where he got like that speedo thing he has going on, but he's ready for some serious combat. I mean, he got off the ship. He was grabbing Thor by the face. I mean, anybody who walks from one dimension to another and grabs him by the face, he means business, all right?
And I think what was so good about this trailer is they hid some of the stuff. Because we know in Ragnarok, in the first trailer that came out, the one person destroys Mjolnir.
Yes.
But in the trailer that was leaked, you don't see the hammer. So I don't know if they CGI'd it out. You also didn't see Hulk in the Infinity War trailer, so I wonder if they're just trying to be really careful with what they're showing until certain movies come out.
They kind of gave you, they gave us a lot, but it was also like just enough to kind of keep you wanting more. They gave us glimpses of, Winter Soldier. He's back, and it looks like he had his arm back because he's holding a gun. I hope he has both arms if he's holding a gun.
Just mounted on his body.
Right.
He just became Jax. Like, so, dude, I got 2 arms.
Black Widow has blonde hair. I've seen, T'Challa, Black Panther's in the film as well. So it's nice to see, how everybody comes together after that Civil War film and everybody was kind of split down the middle. Looks like we're back now for a common good. Captain America looks like he's been just crazy off the radar. He has the 5 o'clock shadow thing just going on. Like the very
it's 5 o'clock, you sure?
I mean, it might be midnight. I mean, he's just very wild man right now. He has a cool comb over, cool guy. Finally, got his up-to-date look going, not stuck in a 1940, whatever it is anymore. So
getting with the times.
Yeah, definitely
21st century.
Definitely getting with the times. So yeah, it's gonna be definitely a fantastic film. From what I've been told, somebody has to die. I'm got my heart set on Captain America. I think that's what it's gonna be.
So there's a theory that's going around, and I want to give a shout out to the Weekly Planet. They're an Australian podcast. I've been listening to them for a while, and they were the one that came up with this theory that Captain Marvel is going to come out next summer.
She's peaked. She has a quick peek in the trailer as well.
And supposedly the Skrulls are going to be like the main enemy in that movie. So people think someone's going to die in this movie, but it's actually going to be a Skrull, and it leads into like Captain Marvel or something like that. So, maybe Captain America dies, but then they're going to be like, oh, the real Cap is actually somewhere else or something. So it might do a fake out like what they did with Agent Cole when he died in Avengers, but then he just comes along in the TV show. I think Groot might be the one that goes.
How many times you gonna kill?
They're always killing the fan favorites, though.
You have to protect Groot. Task Force, protect Groot at all costs.
Do you think when the first Guardians of the Galaxy came out that Groot was the fan favorite?
Easily. I think so, yeah.
Easily,
yeah. Because I don't think anyone knew anyone at the time.
Yeah.
And when they see Groot, it's just, I am Groot. And Vin Diesel voicing him, I think people were like, oh, that's the coolest. Or Rocket Raccoon. I think those are the fan favorites.
I'm about to say, I'd think it'd be him.
I think so. I personally am a big fan of Gamora, but
where are you going with this?
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, the Infinity War is definitely going to be a fantastic film. Obviously, for those of you guys who don't know at home, it's going to be split into 2 parts. Thank God. And then I think the best part is that they don't have somebody actually playing Thanos other than his voice. They might have somebody like maybe in a motion capture suit, but for the most part, it's all computer. CGI. They definitely they probably seen what Fox was doing with the Apocalypse film, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Apocalypse definitely needs to be CGI. No reason why he was a person.
I was so mad. 2 things about that they showed concept art of Apocalypse, and it was the comic version of Apocalypse from the TV show that was on the 90s, I think.
Yes.
And it was just like perfect. It was going to be awesome. And then they chose not to do it for some reason. They decided to go with this Ivan Ooze looking
Mr. Freeze, Ivan Ooze type thing.
But then also with what you're saying about Thanos, they're not going to do what they did with, like, Lou Ferrigno is going to be the last superhero that wasn't CGI'd. Like they just painted Lou Ferrigno green. And you're like, you're the Hulk.
He's the Hulk.
Like that, they'll never do that again.
Never.
That's called a budget. Like, guys, they have an imagination.
So, let's move forward a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about EVO.
Ooh.
EVO was an event that I actually was able to go to kind of last second. Didn't go and do any commentary. That was actually like the first tournament that I went to that I didn't have to do commentary in like almost 2.5 years. The last one was like the Big House 5, I think. It was one of those big houses. Yeah. So with that being said, it was a fantastic experience. They had Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. The line for that was insane. Then of course they had DBZ Fighters, which was super insane to watch in person. Now, DBZ Fighters is a game that I feel like we should have had a long time ago, but I'm happy that it's here now. Better late than never. But I'm also a strong believer that game could have consistent top 8 spots, at major events every Sunday.
Sure. It seems like a game that everyone's looking forward to because, like you said, it feels like not late that we're finally getting it, but it's like about time that we're getting to this balanced Dragon Ball Z fighter. Yeah. But we've had all the Dragon Ball Z games from, Budokai Tenkaichi, Raging Blast, and all those games in between.
Oh, let's not talk about
that. Well,
Raging Blast. Can we delete that?
They were the fun like to play games, not the competitive fighting games. So the people behind like Arc Studios, I think, behind I want to make sure I get it right. Is it Guilty Gear that they did?
I believe so.
So I'm really happy that they're putting together a really strong fighting game system into a fighting game that needs to have a competitive one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it kind of looks like it looks like Guilty Gear. It looks like obviously an anime fighter. Fresh out the gate, but it plays a little bit more like Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think
definitely see that.
Yeah, and the biggest difference is that when one character dies, the neutral resets. So your next character isn't thrown into the abyss. To the wolves. So I think that's a really like fun little tidbit about the game, and it kind of adds dynamic. I think a lot of people already have comparisons in their mind to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is crazy because that game is like kind of out the door. And then, Infinite is coming out, which is only actually, 2 players. You only get 2 characters in that one. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z, DBZ Fighters, that's going to be a really fun event. It was really cool to watch at EVO. My friend Vicious, he does Street Fighter commentary, kind of like us. And he was given an opportunity to commentate and he killed it.
Yeah. It's definitely going to have a very wide age range of people that are going to be playing. Of course, you have the older people that have been watching Dragon Ball Z since you were a kid. Then you have the new Dragon Ball Z series going on. I mean, you got Kai, and then you got a Super.
Yep.
So definitely you'll get a very big age range of people wanting to play this game because, I mean, Dragon Ball Z is just male testosterone. That's what it is. If you're a man, like you didn't like Dragon Ball Z, people look at you like, cool.
It was pretty much in my mind, at least the time that I was growing up, it was the anime that brought us all to like, whoa, there's this genre this medium that I didn't know existed. My favorite thing about the game that I've heard so far is they're going to include a lot of fighters, but it's not going to be, Krillin's going to go one-on-one with Frieza and it's going to be an even matchup. The developers even said that we're going to include some characters that can't necessarily fight one-on-one, but are going to be great assists. So I wonder who they're going to include in this game, because they probably, if they want to go with that mechanic, they don't want to have the craziest strong characters, and they also don't want to have the incredibly weak ones. Like I don't think Hercule is going to be in this game.
I hope not. I don't want to see him on a jetpack.
He's basically the Dan, from Street Fighter of this, but I say I don't want to see him because if they want to keep this all together with this tone that they're going for, keep balanced like fighters in it. So I wasn't too surprised when I saw Krillin, but in terms of other fighters they're going to bring in, I don't know. I think Nappa and Raditz will appear because they're staples. I don't know if we'll get the Ginyu Force or if we'll get all of them.
Well, Phil, with Ginyu Force should have some nice some synergy. I mean, they're teammates.
Sure. Yeah. So they might get 3 of the 5, but
might get Jason and at least Ginyu. Ginyu for the most part. I'm not exactly sure.
We're gonna leave out Captain Ginyu.
Captain Ginyu. Yeah. I definitely agree. It's going to have a huge age range. Even myself, as a kid, I'm thinking back to like the 1st or 2nd grade. I used to like rush home from school just to watch it. And I mean, when Toonami came on, I was actually catching the tail end of it as I was coming in the door. So I wasn't quite able to watch the original airing. I'd have to wait for the rerun later on that night. But
oh man,
yeah, I know.
You're talking Midnight Run, right?
Yeah, man.
Oh god,
dude,
the best.
What you doing up at midnight?
I was watching Midnight Run. No. My dad would record it on the VCR. And so we would like watch it a marathon on the weekend to catch up.
Oh, well, see, I was lucky enough to where so this is how my childhood went. You're outside, playing for a little bit, and you come in right before Dragon Ball Z comes in, but as time went on, you came in a little bit earlier and earlier. Sailor Moon was on, and you pretended like, we just, watching the end of Sailor Moon until Dragon Ball Z comes on.
That's what
It's like Sailor
said.
Moon's got 30 minutes. Like, what are you doing? I was like, you just really actually like Sailor Moon too, and then you just, all right, we'll watch Dragon Ball Z.
See,
too
the excuse
after.
you'd use is you'd pop in and you'd say, "Let's watch it and see how stupid it is, right? Let's just watch the whole thing."
I look at them prancing around in their little shoes and dresses, and look at the cat, man. They little cat too, man. Yeah, look at this, man. It's stupid, man. Yeah.
Oh man.
No, Sailor Moon was definitely a good show, and I'm actually really excited to see what DBZ Fighters is going to bring to the table at not only just EVO but CEO and Combo Breaker and so many other tournaments to come in the future. Because if I was a tournament or an event organizer, not even a TO, if I was an EO, and I obviously pay attention to culture, gaming, and anime, I would definitely pick up DBZ Fighters. It has to be right in my tournament, whether it be a side bracket, or it has a spot on the main stage. That game is going to get the crowd hype.
Yeah, because like as you said, censored. It's bringing in all age groups, so everyone's going to be familiar with someone and enough characters to make their own team.
Yeah.
But I think this is also going to be a good show for developers because if they say, hey, the fans wanted to see this balanced competitive fighter of this particular anime, that opens the door for a whole bunch of others. Will we see a competitive Naruto one or One Piece or all? Yeah,
Ooh,
just would we get? The door opens to a bunch of possibilities. So.
Well, yeah, I remember back in the day on the DS, not even the 3DS, the DS, they had a game called Jump Ultimate Stars, which played it played like Super Smash Brothers, but just obviously with Shonen Jump characters, and I always thought that game was amazing. I unfortunately was never able to actually own the game because by the time I found out about it, I had already sold my DS Lite and my DS, and then the 3DSs are actually region locked, so unfortunately can't play. So if I want to get the game, I got to buy a whole new DS system and then get the game, which actually shouldn't be too expensive. But
I was gonna say the new 2DS is
right?
out. So
yeah, but it's probably region locked though. You have to get that original DS.
Oh,
you gotta get the original DS to play the Japanese games.
Go to New York and go to the Nintendo. What do they call it? I think it was just the Nintendo store.
The Nintendo store. They probably have some old ones lying around. If not, you can go to your local gamers, EV Games. Whatever.
I was there and they had a museum of here's all of these special consoles that came out. And they had one from, I think it was from a Game Boy from 1988 or something. And it was in this battle and a bomb went off or something, and it's still plugged in and they can still play it. So.
Yep. They dropped the bomb on it and they wanted to see if it still worked.
It's still got Tetris in it and you can still play it. It's
That's
crazy.
Man, I would never want to die and then play, Tetris in the afterlife. That would be horrible. That would be horrible.
That's the only game you got with you.
Speaking of Evo, we're all really into Super Smash Brothers for Wii U. There's no way that we can just kind of, glance over this man, Salem.
Man.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's usually how the conversation started when we talk about Salem.
I've been talking about Salem since. Well, really, I've been talking about Salem since he's started. He was playing Samus in Florida. He'll play at Samus at the weeklies and stuff. So one of the reasons he does that is to challenge himself more. Not using the best of characters, and also show hey, I'm not carried by Bayo. I'm using a mid tier character. Giving you guys the hands.
Well, yeah.
But starting at Nairo Saga was really just where everybody was like, all right, this dude is going to be an issue. That losers bracket run he had.
Amazing.
It was a long run, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Salem probably one of the smartest players I've seen in quite some time. And that's not a shot at any of the other top players because, they're amazing as well. But, there's just certain things that Salem does I notice on commentary and I'm like, wow, what type of state of mind is this guy in? And I do agree. He plays, Samus to kind of challenge himself. And he isn't a, quote-unquote tier whore, because he won Apex 2013 going ZSS back in the day. He played Mewtwo King and he beat him.
Yeah.
It wasn't a wash or anything, but it was definitely, a pretty dominant victory. He beat him.
Yeah, on the winner's side, we went back and watched it a couple of weeks ago. It's been ages since we had seen it. And I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. And you look at all the other Meta Knights that he had to go through. It's like this man had to go through a whole bracket. Dealing with that. It's just like,
yeah. How is he that good? Salem got first, which was aired on Disney and ESPNU, if I'm not mistaken. I know Disney owns ESPN, so I'm sure that
it was on one of the ESPN stream channels.
Yeah, ESPNU, I believe, is what it was. So I'm sure if it didn't originally air on ESPN, they probably went back and aired it, as a rerun. Yep. But which is a huge move for Smash, by the way. So huge shout out to everybody that had a helping hand in that. Like D1, Vicky, and then of course you got Chris Seg, the guy who's in charge of the whole broadcast, everything at these multi-major events. But anyway, Salem, he beat Zero. I think that's a huge deal. And
he beat game 5-0.
He beat game 5-0.
Game 5-0.
Well, he took 2 sets off, right?
He took 2 sets. Yeah, he beat game 5-0. And, with Evo being that prestigious and just that big, a lot of people have it in their head now that Bayonetta might be the best character in the game. She's finally won her first quote-unquote major event, Evo. But even though she had won, I believe, something pretty big as well.
In Japan, I think Umbra? No. It starts with a U, I believe.
Umbra, yeah.
Umabera.
Yeah, that's what it is. Umbra's the stage, right?
Umbra. I was like, please don't catch that. Don't catch that.
Yeah, but so Bayonetta definitely a character that's on the rise as of late. But nobody can really use that character quite like Salem.
True.
Even looking at Low Tier City 5, that was the Bayo Gauntlet that Zero had to go through again. But I think he ended up actually playing Mistake instead. Not Salem. He played Mistake, who he teamed with, I believe, in doubles, and then he had to play him later on in singles, where he ended up actually defeating him. But yeah, Bayonetta, just a character that's kind of all over the place here as of late. I hope that doesn't like kind of shift into the meta. I hope we still keep seeing character diversity, but history shows that if there's a character that's pretty dominant, we're gonna look at Melee,
you're definitely gonna
Fox,
see it.
more Bayo, in Smash 4, Brawl, Meta Knight, Ices, what have you. So
we're coming to a point where. Well, first people were trying to say that Bayo's not the best character in the game, which anyone that thought that was just delusional to me. But now we're at the point to where most people's arguments was Bayo hasn't won anything yet. Bayo hasn't won anything.
Yeah.
We've seen Bayo win 2 of the biggest events of this new PGR season.
Right.
And now you see even more Bayo starting the top 8. Before, Bayo was definitely very relevant in top 32s. But with you seeing all these Bayos coming to top 8, people are starting to talk about ban Bayo. Banning of Bayo is not something I can see happening.
It's not the answer either.
Yeah, but it's not really the answer, because you go back to the previous Smash game, Brawl, all you saw were Meta Knights.
Yeah, I mean,
Meta Knight didn't end up getting banned, and people still believe that Meta Knight is a more dominant character than Bayonetta is. Main reasoning is when people wanted to start instilling that ban of Meta Knight, the game had already been going for however long, and all these top players play Meta Knight. Like, you really just gonna take this character away from people that have been playing a character for so long? I just don't see Bayonetta being banned.
And not only that, with Meta Knight and Brawl, a lot of the top players were like dominant. They were just dominant in general, and it wasn't like Meta Knight was an easy character to play by any means. I believe it was a conversation I had with Ally on Twitter. He was telling me that Meta Knight was dominant. I think we kind of knew that, not even a year into Brawl competitively, we knew that what that character can do. But the fact of the matter is that he's not an easy character to use, and not, any Joe Schmo can't pick up Meta Knight. So, with that being said, we had a lot of Meta Knight mains. We also had a lot of Meta Knight, pockets as well. Like, so let's say I main Link. I'm a known Link player. Link's not working, obviously. So I was like, all right, time to bust out the Meta Knight. You know what I'm saying? So there was quite a bit of that as well. Like, even, Ally was a dual main. He had, he was the best Snake, but then he also played, Meta Knight, just in case, there's a matchup where things got a little too crazy. Meta Knight comes out.
Yeah, and we have been seeing a lot of more Bayos lately, but I don't think it's quite. I agree with both of you. I don't think it's gotten quite to the point of we have to discuss banning this character until we see, like what we saw with Brawl, where it was not just top 8, but like top 16 or top 32 were just Meta Knights, or the vast majority were. That's when we can start to have the conversation. I know there was a tournament this weekend by Tourney Locator where we had a handful of Bayos in top 8.
Low tier city. Yeah.
Low tier city.
There were 3 of them on the winner side.
And then a couple in losers.
Abba was in the losers.
Abba was in losers, so we had 4 Bayos in top 8.
But still look at the results and tweak one. But then I know people were talking about like, oh, Cloud's busted and all that. So power of DLC, I guess. But at least in my opinion, we're still seeing a diversity of characters.
Yeah.
Look at all the top 8s we've had recently. We at Smash Factor we had a lot of Sheiks, but we saw Marth. We're still seeing Zero Suit, Diddy's, Bayonettas. Like, no matter what competitive game you play, no matter how many characters are, it still comes down to 10, depending on, or like I don't know percents, but there's still like a handful to 10 characters that you will see all the time in every fighting game out there.
Yeah, they just have better options. Let's be honest. You know, better situational matchups, and things like that really work for the player, and it obviously really works for the character as well. And also speaking of Smash, I've been seeing a lot of discussion on Twitter about top 8. Whether it should be all best of 5 or it should just be like top 32. Is that where it starts, or 64? Anything fresh out of pools. From a commentary standpoint, I'm like top 8, winners finals, losers finals, grand finals, best of 5, everything else best of 3. But I've never been a top player, so I can't really say what it should be. It may be into game, or excuse me, not game, but into top 32 or top 64. They talk a lot about adaptation. Game 5 gives you time to adapt, so on and so forth. But I'm a firm believer that if you got sauced up 2 games in a row, sets over, man. Like, there's no comeback. I don't know. What's your guys' take on it?
I'm okay sticking with 2 out of 3 until top 8. Top 16 is where I would like. That's when I'd be like, okay, I can see an argument for there, but past top 16, I'm not really feeling it. But I think another huge factor in it is the level of the event. Let's take one of the biggest ones recently, Civil War.
Okay.
I would have been okay if Top 64 was best of 5.
Yeah.
For an event like that, of that magnitude. So how they want to do that, I know we've got PGR that says, here are the tier events. I don't know if they want to make a subset of rules that say, because it's this tier level, here's going to be what's going to be top 5. Hard to say at this point, but I'm okay with, at the moment at least, let's go for a little bit longer of just top 8 being best of 5.
We could see that pretty soon. Evo was a very big deal, but, I was worried that we get these best of 5s, and people at home can watch, and we're watching Sonic Dittos, we're watching Rosie versus Sonic or something very optimal gameplay, but it's very slow and very a methodical play style, and the average viewer at home is like, what the heck is this? I want to see Mario get slapped clear across the screen. I don't want to see two characters kind of dance around each other. So you also run that risk as well. But I think the way Evo and everybody that had a helping hand and that approached it was was a good choice. Top 8 was best of 5, losers finals, winners finals, grands, and then everything else was best of 3.
I think Evo, it was a very easy watch because it was a best of 3 until you made it to those final stages. A lot of people say best of 5, and a reasoning they use is adapting. And I'm just like, well, if you can't adapt in those, first couple of games, I just feel like it's just like a really weak excuse. For me, I think, because, if you say any number of games, you could come up with a different excuse like, they were able to adapt to me because there were 5 games. Or you could say, in the 3 game, you didn't have time to adapt.
Right.
So either way, you're going to have some sort of argument. I think ultimately, if you want to use the best of 5 as like some type of separation to say, hey, these games mean more. I think you should look at the payouts. If you're at a tournament and top 8 starts the payout, like if it's a top 8 payout, then those top 8 should have the best of 5. If you're at a tournament, top 16 or top 32 is getting the payout,
which would be ridiculous.
You're not going to get a tournament that's going to have that. But I think that's when it's saying, hey, this means more.
Yeah.
So when you go to a tournament and you have a top 8 payout, I think that's when best of 5 should be starting to get used.
I can see that, yeah, because at that point everyone is fighting for
More
some sort of
invested.
money.
Another thing I'd like to touch on, you're talking about having like Sonic Dittos or like a Rosie or something in top 8, and that's a reason of not wanting the best of 5 for people sitting through that. That's one thing that I just really don't like. I feel like it hinders the players themselves, that the viewers are taken into consideration so much when it comes down to it the most, we need to be catering to the players, not the viewers.
I see both sides of it. I think I'm kind of in the middle because look at let's make an analogy to sports. Going to more specifically baseball and college basketball. They've been changing their rules to make it better for the viewers, cutting timeouts, less time in between the batter box and pitches, because they care about the viewers for their shows.
Yeah.
So I could see esports taking that same route of
to the business side is cutting into the actual.
Let's look at Evo last year, cutting or excuse me, was it this year or last year where they cut out Duck Hunt stage?
It was this year.
This year. It felt like the announcement was like a year ago, but yeah, it was this one. Because they cared about the viewers. They're like, look, we're going to ban this stage because we care more about the viewers. Players can adjust how they want because it's still an equal playing field for everyone.
Well, there's certain characters I couldn't quite deal with the camp like other characters could.
True.
You got characters like Ganondorf and Little Mac, and specifically, who unfortunately just can't get up in that tree and do anything.
Yeah, and that was. It did seem that was everyone's biggest issue. Was like, well, we don't want to watch. I'm like, bro, it's not about the watch. It's the players. And I was like, man, like people literally lived through Brawl. Did you watch some of those matches? Some of the campiest things ever. If those people watched Brawl or played through Brawl, they could play through Duck Hunt if a person chooses to play like that. And I remember, I think it was like the last tournament where Duck Hunt was ran. I really wish I remember who the players were, but that was probably one of the most aggressive sets that I ever saw, and it was on Duck Hunt. I believe if you're going to get a camp, it comes down to the player.
I'm going to actually slightly disagree with that, because a lot of the players that played through Brawl They also play Smash 4, but the fan base is completely different. Smash back then was very much like its own little like society and so on and so forth, which it kind of still is because no company support. But now it's obviously it's a lot bigger.
Yeah,
we have kids picking it up. We have older people picking it up. Just not even Smash. Social media, really helps as well. Now Twitter then compared to Twitter now, those are two different social media platforms. Facebook definitely helps too with the groups. The group function wasn't always a thing. That actually got added. I think it was like 2010 or so.
Yeah.
So with the groups, you can create state pages, and then from the state pages you can create weeklies and so on and so forth. Which Smash probably on a consistent basis has the biggest weekly scene across the map. Like I don't think there's another game that can touch it.
I like being in the middle of this. Ironically, I'm sitting in the middle because I just wanted to quickly say, I think it also depends on the tournament of things that happen. Look at Low Tier City. We had a ton of Bayos in that. Look at Smash Factor. We had a lot of Sheiks in that one. You're getting two completely different experiences watching really the same game, just different characters. So when it comes to the viewer part of like you're both saying about how Duck Hunt can hinder or the players or better the viewership or vice versa. But I think it also depends on which players and which characters are getting to that point. Because if we get a lot of Sheiks, we're going to get different stages than we'd get with like Bayonettas or Foxes or Clouds or something like that.
So speaking of players, is what's more important, players, or the TOs? Players say or TOs say?
Oh boy. I
know that was a big thing on Twitter just a few days ago.
Yeah, I don't know how to generally feel about that because I say I'm also on the mind stance that I think there should be more stages. So I assume we're talking about
stay out of this. Your turn, right?
Dude,
banned.
Just bring Duck Hunt back.
All right, and you're banned too. I'm a firm believer that the TOs and their legacy really helps shape an event. UGC Smash Open is probably the most prime example. UGC was a tournament with a huge pop bonus. In St. Louis, of all places, a place that people just kind of fly over if you're a top player. You don't really go to tournaments in that area. And with that being said, they brought Bear on, and from there on, Bear had, they got Vasef on as well. So they were able to get players and kind of reel people in. But I'm a firm believer that if those two weren't on staff, nobody would have went to that. They're like, who are these TOs? What's the seating going to be like? Do you even know how to use Smash, GG, so on and so forth? I think that, instead of these $10,000, $20,000 pop bonuses, you can still have a solid pop bonus, but let's kind of focus on paying, the staff a bit more. I went to CEO and I go to Combo Breaker and I'm looking at like Jabali and I'm looking at Rick and all these guys like into day one and they're just pulling their hair out. Well, Jabali doesn't really have hair, but you know what I'm saying? He's like, like they're just
he's wiping the sweat off.
He's wiping the sweat off. They're going through and I'm just like, I know this guy and his staff, they aren't being paid enough. But you know what though? They got that pop bonus. Like, so I'd like to see a bit more, catering to the staff per se. And that's just not like my inner commentator coming out because that's a whole different story. I'm talking like the crew, the people who, put everything together and then take everything down, the people in charge of like monitoring the setup, security, so on and so forth. All the little small amenities that people kind of look over that really help like shape and build an event, for the future. I think, we need to accommodate more for that.
I always thought, and this is maybe, if anyone knows me, I'm incredibly naive and ignorant, not in a negative connotation of just like, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I always assumed venue money. When I go to a local or a regional or something, I just assumed that was going to the staff and the TOs. Like when people were like, "No, that just goes to the venue only," I was like, "Well, you mean the TOs don't get a cut?" So
you gotta get back to the positive, and a lot of those venues are ridiculous.
They're expensive.
Yeah, but us when we ran Nexus, I can't remember how much the venue was, but we broke even barely. Like we had just made it.
I had used that venue that summer before. Or 2 summers before, and the venue normally was like $1,400. We ended up getting it for $700. But that's something on a much smaller scale. But we look at an event like CEO where this man is putting a wrestling ring in the middle of this venue and so on and so forth. You got to look at insurance. I paid probably the year I used the arena at the Rawson Arena. I probably paid $200 for insurance, up to $1 million. I don't even want to know what the heck Jabali paid for insurance.
Gosh,
just in case a monitor falls over and kills somebody, or somebody slips and falls off the arena. Like, I don't even know what the heck. So I'm sure he paid an arm and a leg for that.
I know for a fact if I made top 8, or if any of my match was on stream and I got to go onto the ring, I'm going to that top rope and I'm catering to the fans watching. So yeah, that insurance policy, that's some scary stuff.
Yeah. So I think players should obviously be accommodated for. I seen there was a discussion on Twitter just the night before about money and trophies and things like that.
Yeah.
Naira made a tweet. I'm tired of these cereal bowl type trophies.
I thought they were cool. Am I in the minority?
I mean, I guess so, because I've never won a trophy in anything before anyway. At least not a real trophy.
True,
you
true.
win trophies in games, but that's a completely different ballpark. But he said, I fight my way through bracket. I made it out of pools. I beat the best in the world. The least you can do is give me, a strong trophy. And there were some people who debated that, saying, well, it's more about the money. I said, you know what, you can hang money up on your wall, but money is temporary. Those trophies have a lot of sentimental value.
True.
I think not even like it doesn't have to be like the world's most expensive, like beautiful.
Yeah.
But some type of like customization or something that lets you know, oh, it was that tournament. Don't make all the trophy just, a square that, that could be towards anything at all.
That's corny. Yeah, it feels like, if every trophy looks the same, it's just, all right, here's your trophy, man. Like, we got 1 billion of these. Like, give me something.
They did it just to do it.
Yeah, give me something sentimental, and I know that I can't win, that trophy at a different event. That was something Jabali also talked about as well. He likes the fact that, he really puts a lot of time and effort into his belts and, and so on and so forth. Like, that memorabilia keeps people coming back the next year. And I think that's actually amazing.
There might be a small bias in this answer, but I'm a fan of art, so I would love like my trophy to be like a top 8 custom picture of all the entrants and their mains or something like that. Something to remember, like that was the event, that was who was there, who I had to compete against.
Art giveaway.
Some kind of art giveaway. I would be okay with that because then it's going to be customized, like you said, and it's going to show. When you get a little older and you're forgetting all the memories, like who did I win at that tournament? Who was I? You can at least look at the art and it tells a story.
When you're telling your grandkids and they're I used to play Smash professionally. Okay, Grandpa, I got the poster.
We had to plug in our controllers.
Like, whatever, Gramps. GameCube, here, where's your applesauce? No, I hear you, man. EVO was obviously a very grand experience. The venue, I'm sure, cost a lot of money, as it did at CEO and Combo Breaker. They ran a lot of great games. One game in specific that I kind of want to touch on, though, at least I believe there was a side bracket for it at CEO, was ARMS.
Yes,
ARMS is a new, I'm going to say this in quotes, fighting game for the Nintendo Switch that I've actually had the opportunity to play quite a bit of at CEO and so on and so forth, ARMS Saga and whatnot. I like the innovation behind it. I think it definitely caters to, the Nintendo Switch and just all of its capabilities and its, functionality. Let's talk about its longevity. Do we see the game sticking around or what's going on?
Here's how my whole takeaway of seeing it now. Granted, I don't have a Switch, so I've never been able to play it. I've seen matches. I've seen them, at locals. I think the way Nintendo is pushing so hard for this, just like how they were pushing really hard for Splatoon, the first one,
and then Splatoon 2 is everything in Japan right
exactly.
Now. Huge.
And then there was a sequel for Splatoon. So the second one's on Switch. So I think there could be an ARMS sequel coming sooner than we think. And I think Nintendo's listening to the players and the fans and the viewers saying, here's what we don't like, here's what we do like. Yes. Look at why we're banning these stages and everything. And with how close Nintendo is getting with esports, how much they're pushing all of their games, I think an ARMS sequel could be coming up sooner than we think, and I think they're going to listen to all of the feedback that they got.
Yeah, Nintendo's kind of teeter-tottering with esports. It's like it just got proposed to, and now it has cold feet. Like, that's what kind of Nintendo's doing with esports. I think I'm a firm believer that, Smash is obviously the strongest, gaming community that Nintendo has ever bred, ever. Like, it's not...
They accidentally bred.
Accidentally bred. Sakurai was like, whoops, sorry, guys. Like, anything you make now is going to get compared to that. Like, sorry. But I feel like, any new Nintendo game, if it's semi-competitive, it's only going to be as strong as the Smash community lets it.
I definitely 100% agree with that.
Yes.
Because, for example, with Pokken, now ARMS, where are you going to get your fan base? You're going to get your fan base from people that play things that, could kind of parallel it with, like, Smash. You got Pokemon in there. Right. Pokemon are also in Smash. You got Pikachu, Lucario. They're also in Pokken. So some of those people gravitated towards that. Yeah. But the big question is, are you going to have something that makes them stay? I feel a lot of Smashers played Pokken when Pokken dropped. Some people stayed, and a lot of people left. is ARMS gonna have something that's gonna make people is this gonna make people stay?
I think we kind of took Pokken locally, and we ran with it for a little bit, and then from there on it's become a staple, that has bred, players that travel now, like Kuki, who now lives in Florida, and so on and so forth, and it's also bred strong TOs like Dan or Fumu, excuse me.
I was gonna say Fumu in our scene, yeah.
Yeah, he's been to a lot of the same events I've been to.
Oh, yeah,
but as a TO.
Yeah, he went to, was it CEO to TO?
Yes, he went to CEO to TO. And, Pokken, obviously a very strong game, takes inspiration from, Pokemon and a lot from Tekken. I think Namco had a helping hand in, Smash as well, which is the reason why we got Pac-Man. But I think at the end of the day, like I said, a new community in Nintendo would only be as strong as Smash allows it to be. And, I can't really blame the viewers at home and the fans, for that. Everything that you drop now is going to be compared to Smash. What can I do with these characters? Can I wave dash? Can I do all these crazy things? Like what is going on? So yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Pokken. I play quite a bit of ARMS as well. Nintendo is definitely pushing it. We had an ARMS tournament at the San Diego Comic-Con. Had an ARMS tournament. Just a recent one at Nintendo as well. I think it was like all best of ones, no seating, no stream, just a typical Nintendo, family friendly, event. We also had ARMS Saga back in the beginning of July. We also had a 2GGP just the night before that was commentated by DC and Coney. It was an online event where Catfight almost won, but he lost to a gentleman named Jarrett. And Catfight is a beast.
Yeah, and then we had Soul taking a third place. Soul, definitely an amazing ARMS player, already having 2 big tournaments under his belt. And it makes you wonder, is it the Little Mac in him? Because
he's definitely.
ARMS was the Little Mac tournament.
I like to think Soul goes to the gym and just goes to a punching bag, and he's just doing all these like Little Mac combos and ARMS combos on a punching bag. So. But yeah, I could see ARMS, getting more traction, more speed. I think it'll depend on how many people are still playing it when their DLC keeps coming out.
Yeah.
Because they had one character that was just released.
I think Max Brash just came out, yes.
So we'll see how consistently those characters are coming out. Because if your next DLC character comes out, let's say, 8 months from now, that's hurting your scene.
It's definitely hurting your scene, and I just feel like ARMS also isn't quite getting the same like community support that Pokken kind of gave itself. Pokken, when the game was first coming out, it drew a lot of inspiration from other fighting games. We have people like Tasty Steve helping, the game out as well. A lot of top smashers like Nairo and DK Will helped. And then we also had D1 and Markman. D1 obviously being the biggest Nintendo brand commentator, and then Markman, being the biggest Tekken Namco commentator. They had them do the Invitational, that very first one, I believe, back in 2015. So, with that being said, we're not really seeing that with ARMS. We're not really seeing like the ARMS Twitter accounts, like Rodney_ARMS on Twitter, like the competitive ARMS players. We're not seeing, the PRs, the ranking systems. But then again, it's
still new. So.
The game is still new, but let's see, what happens here. A lot of the, our strongest streams in Smash can't really get the game up and running as well. 2GG is having an okay time with it, while Xanadu is really struggling, to get the game on its feet. So, and I know that kind of hurts us as well.
And now, do you think one thing that could hinder it is the equipment that is involved? With Pokken, that seems to be a lot of people's biggest gripe is like, oh my, you got to have so much stuff. You got to have 2 Wii's, you got to have 2 monitors, you have to do this. ARMS, it kind of feels like it's the same thing, unless you want to do split screen. So do you think
split screen actually isn't that bad in ARMS? It's actually really good in ARMS. I mean, they actually fixed that split screen issue, or excuse me, not split screen, but the dual monitor issue for Pokken, XD coming out in September. So, they've kind of eliminated that issue. I wish they would have just did it fresh out of the gate, but they were working with limited technology at the time, Nintendo Wii, and what have you. But yeah, ARMS and Pokken, those are games I feel like are going to stick around for a while, but they're going to need more community support. They're going to need some more love. They're going to need some spots at these major events like EVO and CEO. Well, I guess they did have a spot at CEO. I think their top 8 ended day 2. They ended Saturday, so no day 3 spots, but yeah.
Hopefully soon, we'll see. And not to sound hypocritical of the setup thing, but it's odd that just from an outsider's perspective, you see ARMS and Pokken needing multiple setups just for 2 people to play one-on-one. But at the same time, I look at like first-person shooters. You need 8 to 16 setups for one match.
That is also
but
true.
they somehow are able to pull it off. So I think it's just going to depend on the scene. Yes, I think Nintendo plays a huge role in pushing this out, but it's also going to depend on the scene, like you said with Xanadu. Really trying to push it. The players themselves have to go with it as well.
They got to be into it. They got to be wanting to excel in that game and take it further. Because let's be honest, Nintendo can make anything popular, but sometimes they kind of struggle with making things stay.
Yeah.
Smash obviously being the biggest thing that stayed, and Splatoon, like we just talked about, really big in Japan. I went to Smash and Splash 3 in the beginning of June, and they had a side tournament called Smash and Splat, or Splat and Smash, something like that. But it was a play on words for Splatoon, and like you said, you got to get all the systems hooked up. But one key issue that they ran into is that, multiple game pads, multiple systems in the same room, they kind of interfere with each other. So they took like these side ballrooms at the hotel and had to put the walls back up, and so they were able to run this tournament efficiently as possible. But Splatoon, very hype game to watch.
Wow.
If you enjoy watching shooters, like I do, I'm garbage at shooters, but I enjoy watching them. You'll enjoy Splatoon.
Splatoon was definitely fun. I haven't played Splatoon 2 at all because I don't have a Switch. But the first one, I played all the time. So my biggest gripe is Nintendo. Let me talk to my teammates.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Talk to my teammates.
Yes. Nintendo, if you're listening to us, please.
A cooperative game with teammates, and like, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, all right, why are you doing that? Dude, come this way. And I'm just like, man, I can't tell them.
Yeah, I can't tell them anything.
Shout out to Discord.
Yep.
Discord has definitely played a helping hand in Splatoon 2. I don't play the game, but of course in the New Age chat, we have players in there such as MJG, and even Oscar. They use the Discord app as a form of communication while playing Splatoon.
That is really awesome. Yeah, that's very awesome. Being able to find outside resources like Discord and helping push the Splatoon meta. So hopefully when those games and those big tournaments hits, stateside, we get a little company support from Nintendo. And who knows, man? We might be sitting pretty.
At the end of the day, I'm happy with Nintendo from where I was with the Wii, when it went to the release of the Wii U, and now the Switch is out, and I think it has exceeded everyone's expectations.
Yeah.
Like everyone thought this was dead on arrival, dead before arrival. They didn't even announce the name within a year of it coming out, and they're like, oh, here it is, it's going to come out in a couple months. And people were like, what are your games? Like, everyone was like, this is going to suck. This is going to fail so badly.
Did you say the Wii?
No, Switch. Sorry.
I was going to say, wait a second.
No.
I missed something. I thought Splatoon was on the Wii? That's crazy.
No, I was just saying, like, how the Wii went from, like, motion controls, and it wasn't quite there, and then the Wii U, people were confused with the name, and there wasn't so much third-party support. Yeah. And then with the Switch, it feels like it comes out too soon. We still have the Wii U. And then basically porting all of the Wii U successful games. Yeah. Mario Kart 8, Splatoon getting a sequel, Pokken DX.
Breath of the Wild being on both.
Breath of the Wild. So I think people were expecting the Switch to do so poorly, but shout outs to Nintendo and again the community, the players themselves supporting the Switch, and I think that's what's going to take the Switch to the next level.
Yeah, and not to talk too much about it, but I spoke briefly about a game is only going to be as strong as Smash lets it. Smash definitely has I think we all know has a bit of a segregation between itself. There's multiple games that are still being ran at high level to this day, but obviously the biggest two right now, Smash 4 and Melee. But when I look over at the FGC scene, Street Fighter players are playing Tekken. Even before Akuma, I mean, they're still playing Tekken. Guilty Gear, Sonic Foxes. Yeah. He plays Skullgirls. He plays Injustice. Plays Mortal Kombat, which are still very similar, in games, but they have their differences as well. But I like to see more of that in Nintendo. I like to see. Maybe Zero. He's number one in Smash, but let's see how you do in Pokken. Like Como Akiri and Abadanga, they play Pokken. They're damn good.
Yeah, that's true.
Good, and of course, we got Soul going from Smash to Arms, which I think is a huge deal. That might, push more people to get into that mindset because, I'd like to see multiple games. Hell, I like to see just a Nintendo major event only. Like that's going to be that's going to be the green light for Nintendo. Like, wow, there's a competitive scene for not only just Smash, but Pokken and Arms. All the players played the games as well. Oh yeah, we're in there.
I'm still confused as to why this hasn't happened yet. Nintendo did the World Championship, in the 80s. Why are they not doing it now? Like, I know they did it recently, and of course we all know John Numbers won it, but this feels like it should be a yearly event.
When the Nintendo's esports page just like popped up and everybody saw those panels, people were waiting for that last panel to pop up.
It's still coming. It's still coming.
Mario Party.
People were still Mario Party in that last panel.
We're talking Mario Party 1 with you got to get the N64 joystick.
Right.
I think maybe Nintendo has one more game up their sleeve. They're just waiting to drop. and
Do you think it's Smash?
drops, it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be Smash.
You don't think it's gonna be Smash on the Switch?
It's really weird, but I think it's gonna be some type of sportish type game.
You know what? I think it's going to be something out of left field. Not to make a sports, a pun there, but I think we're going to see either a new IP or something like, wow, I did not expect a remake of this old game or something. Yeah, I'm with you. I think people have kind of forgotten that there was that fifth panel that just
just like, what, you just got some open space here? Who was your graphic designer?
I think they forgot there was leftover space. They meant to like screwed it over.
Talking about players crossing over into other games, two players that really stand out in my eyes that want people to play other games. Well, one we'll talk about TK Breezy. TK Breezy definitely has a strong voice in the community, being a top commentator. He doesn't just play Smash. Like on his stream, he plays Tekken. He actually played a set with Rod.
I heard.
The other day. Me, Rod, and Brad. Were playing for like 4 or 5 hours, and then him and TK went at it. We have players such as Anti. Anti plays other fighting games, and then also the Kill Sage, known for playing Skullgirls, winning an Evo. And I don't know. Maybe it's that New York area. We need to follow their footsteps.
Tri-State's is a pretty strong area. Not just Tri-State, East Coast. East Coast is a really strong area when it comes to gaming. I think anybody who plays fighting games knows that. Or not even fighting games, just competitive games in general. You know that the East Coast is a beast. The Beast Coast is what they call it. I'd like to see more crossover. I'd like to see more diversity. TK playing Tekken, started out with Injustice, wasn't really feeling it, so he's like, I'm just going to go over to Tekken and Smash, just kind of stay there for the time being. And when it comes to competitive fighting games, I want to pursue, but he also plays other games as well. Like I'm sure he plays a bit of Street Fighter. I think anybody who works in fighting game commentary, plays a Street Fighter or two.
So I can think of a few fighting game players: Justin Wong, Chris G, Marlon Pai, Infiltration. They all play other fighting games, and they're good at them. And I think other Smashers should try other games. Like that's why I got Tekken, was because my friends were saying, hey, this is going to be a good game, and rather than say, I'm going to wait to see how the scene is or something, I just picked it up, and I've been playing it a lot lately, and it's a lot of fun. So I think some Smash players just have to just try something new. Know that you're not going to be good at it. I did a 3-hit combo juggle, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so good. But once you are getting better, then you're doing 10 hits and 15-hit combos, and you can see the work going in, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's actually a beautiful sight to see. Let's actually switch the tone a little bit. Tekken and Smash, very high octane games. Let's slow it down. Let's talk about Pokemon. Pokemon VGC. I know you feel a type of way about Pokemon. As a kid, Pokemon was actually my first love. I tell everybody that you need to calm down, all right? Because man, you like Digimon, you need to calm down.
Digimon, Pokemon.
Oh no!
All right, man. Let me know when Digimon Worlds are. No, I'm joking, but
that's the 5th game. So.
Pokemon, Pokemon was a game that I played at a very, very young age. Which it actually goes a little deeper than that. I'm the oldest of 4. So we didn't really do a lot of PlayStation. We didn't do a lot of 2-player stuff. Everybody had to be able to play. So we had a lot of Nintendo consoles.
Yeah.
But we all got Game Boy Advances. So me and my brother got the indigo one. My sister got the clear one. And my other sister got the pink clear one. But I ended up getting, I believe it was Pokemon Red. And I played it a little bit. I was like, all right, this is cool. And I got it as it was out the door. And then the new one was coming out. And I'm like, gold and silver. So my brother's birthday was first. He got gold version, I believe. No, he got silver version first. And then my birthday came in July. And I was like, oh, I need crystal version. So I ended up getting crystal version later on, and then my dad ended up getting us the 64, and we ended up getting Pokemon Stadium, so then we were able to take our Pokemon from the handhelds into
with the Game Boy cartridge and
with
the controller?
The transfer pack. Yeah. So I thought that was just
cool little gadgets.
Those are very, very cool gadgets, to kind of, amplify the experience, but, that was then, and we're looking at now. Obviously, these Pokemon now are on the 3DSs and so on and so forth, and I tell you what, I don't really play Pokemon competitively, but I am a huge fan of watching it, though. We just had this most recent Pokemon North American event, and that was quite a treat to watch. I watched that over my birthday weekend, so I spent my birthday watching Pokemon at home. I couldn't ask for anything else.
Yeah, I think Pokemon's got a chance to really step it up, especially with the ability to go online and play all these games, trading and battling players via Wi-Fi or anything, and it's really interesting to see how this could be taken up to the next level. I'm starting to see more commentators in this game. Like I was watching videos and not knowing what's going on, and there would be no commentary, and it's just like two people playing. I'm like, what's going on? I don't know what is happening.
Pokemon commentary is pretty intense.
Yeah. And then I was listening to commentators, and I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, like there's all this stuff going in.
Us and FGC, we kind of got it easy. Those Pokemon guys, I mean, there's so many Pokemon, and
oh my goodness.
You got to talk about matchups. You got to talk about why one person did this and did that. And it's turn-based as well, too. So, where we get a lot, we get away with a lot. We use hype to kind of fill gaps and so on and so forth. There's just a lot of analysis in Pokemon, and I've always been like, kind of envious of that. I'm like, dang, look at these guys, man. They know literally everything about the game.
Yeah.
The only commentators that really come to mind is Smash that like know everything about the game. It's like, Max Ketchum. Like if I ask him anything, he's like, yeah, I know it. I'm on it. You can't. There'll never be another Max. Like Max. There's only one Max. But yeah, Pokemon. A lot of analysis, and I think that's why they're pretty selective when it comes to their commentary. They don't really have like a gigantic team. It's a set team, a static team, and you'll see them at just about every event for the most part.
Well, they've got Ultra Sun and Moon dropping soon.
Yes.
So we'll see how that goes. I picked up the Sun version, playing a little on and off when I'm going on trips, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It feels like it was a game that like rekindled that. Hey, do you remember like collecting Pokemon?
Like a kid again.
Because for me, I haven't played anything since Silver. So
ooh, what the heck?
There's a
what the
gap.
heck are you
There is
doing?
a gap for me. But it just feels like rather than being afraid to find all these 600 new Pokemon that I'm not accustomed to.
Oh gosh.
It's actually been like fun again of just like, oh, what's going on with this? Like, oh, that Pokemon's cool, and then getting surprise evolutions rather than spoiling it for myself. So.
Okay, so you talked about there's supposed to be a new game dropping, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I mean, as a kid, like I saw, like of course, I've like seen Pokemon before.
Yes.
So is Eevee getting a new evolution? Is that something that I hear?
Not exactly sure if Eevee's going to get a new evolution though. That Pokemon has like 1,800 evolutions as it is already. I wouldn't be surprised if they threw a few new ones in there though. Pokemon, like we talked about, is a game that kind of brings out your inner child, if you will. It definitely brings mine out. And I fell in love with the game not just because of the show. I mean, the show is like what kind of sparked my interest, but it was the game. But it was the fact that like everybody has a different version. I can trade, I can battle, I can do all these things. And then when the internet got bigger, and I was on like Cerebi.net, and I was able to see like these Nintendo events where like I have all these functions in my game that don't really work for me because I can't get to a Nintendo event. But I got the I had Pokemon Ruby on the Game Boy Advance. I also had Pokemon Emerald as well. And I also had like Pokemon Coliseum 2 for the GameCube, but that's a whole different story. But they were all intertwined together. Like you can all link and trade and battle and so on and so forth. But I would have like these little tidbits in my game that just unfortunately went unfinished because I could not get to a coast, and finish my Pokédex. Like there was just no way to catch Celebi in the States. In the Japanese version of Coliseum, you get Celebi after I believe purifying all the Pokemon, but in the United States version, it was just.
You gotta get that hacks, man.
So yeah, so SMU had a Game Boy as well growing up, and I feel like that's probably where my biggest disconnect comes from. With like Pokemon, I never owned a handheld system.
Oh wow.
And the show just never really caught. I just didn't like the show. Like growing up as a kid, I watched everything that my parents watched. Except for The Sopranos. My mom was just like, you can't watch that.
Too much murder in that one.
She would actually watch Digimon with me because she really liked like the actual storyline and the plots. Like it felt like it was more of kind of an adult-friendly show. Talking about Digimon. Digimon Tri is actually the third Digimon adventure. They did it over in Japan as like 4 movies, but America just has to do things differently. So they cut up the movies into episodes. You can go watch on Crunchyroll.
Okay.
It's actually pretty good. Of course, I like it.
I was gonna say.
I feel like with the newer age of like people that like watch anime or people that have never watched Digimon before, actually finding themselves liking it. I have conversations on Twitter about the new episodes all the time with Lord Sturm and Pow Pow actually. But definitely something that people should take a peek at. The last episode should be dropping in September, I believe.
Sweet. Yeah, Digimon was something it was a very brief stint for me as a child. We had that very first movie, which I thought was amazing. I still do. But I was like, after this, Pokemon, man.
Yeah, Digimon, they only had like 2 they had 2 solid games.
Yeah.
One of them, man, I can't remember which one it was.
Did it have 2 versions like Pokemon?
2 versions? No, I didn't have 2 versions.
Just one?
The only thing that I really remember I went over to like one of my mom's coworkers' house one time, and they had the PlayStation with the screen on it. And I was like,
PS1?
dude,
Yeah.
I was like, this is pretty baller right here.
That's pretty lavish.
Like, man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen 5 seconds of Digimon, so I don't know.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
Not missing nothing.
I listened to the theme song and I was like, what else is on?
Keep it that way. Oh yeah, that theme song is the worst theme song ever. It's like somebody like took how Bohemian Rhapsody was like put together and then puked in it. It was like here. It's like 3 different beats going on and just like this intense piano, like this like Interstellar, just Hans Zimmer type thing going on. I'm like, what is happening? As a kid, I'm like, my brain is being melted to mush watching this.
Oh no.
And in a day when it was like the mid '90s commercials and everything, where they were like, "Look at the technology! We turn this head into gushers and do it." It was like already overloaded, but Digimon was like, "Okay, all right, let's calm down."
Digimon was just like the intro was just too intense. It was just I'm like,
Man, I swear in the 90s, if they wanted to make, it was like, you know what, we're going to do a song. Let's make it hip-hop.
Oh, God.
That's how you tried to make anything cool.
Maybe.
well,
Couldn't
Digimon
come
was
up
like
with
half
ideas.
rock and roll. Then it was like the techno intro. Then there was a dude that was just like hitting opera notes. He was just like, change into this. I'm just like, what is this?
And you know more than I do. I was like, what's this theme song?
Throw this away now. Get it out of here. Beat it, Digimon. No, Digimon was cool. But like, you think that, we should, dabble into something new, and vice versa.
True.
True. I welcome you to play Pokemon, and I've watched Digimon. I don't think Digimon is like too bad by any means, but I have a slight disconnect from it. Speaking of new games and new things to try, we've been playing a lot of Tekken 7 as of late. Now Tekken was a game that I've been playing for a very, very long time, since all the way back to 2. But I know that we got some newer people who are like, 7 is where I kind of got into it and so on and so forth. But how are you guys, feeling about it?
Kind of relating it to Pokemon with Sun and Moon, and I'm like, I'm going to jump into this. Tekken 7 just felt like it hit that note for me also of like, here's something I never got into.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give it a shot. So all the characters for me are brand new. Of course, I knew like Jin and Law. There's a couple others that are like staples.
Yes.
But then, my character right now is Katarina, and apparently is brand new. So I'm like, hey, brand new character for a brand new game I'm playing. So I kind of relate in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a fun game, and like you said, it doesn't hurt to branch out and
Never
try
hurts
something different.
Doesn't hurt to pick up a new game.
Oh, yeah.
Tekken 7, I feel like the Tekken series in general is a game that even if you don't really know it, too well, you got a brief like overview of the game. The family hates each other. Like I think everybody who doesn't even play Tekken knows that. Like, okay, the dad, the son, and his dad, they don't get along. Like I think everybody knows that.
I couldn't follow the story. So.
Man.
Dang, man.
Yeah, Tekken was
I
definitely,
tried.
it was my first actual fighting game to where I like actually cared about like trying to be good. Like Tekken 5, I put so many hours into Tekken 5 that when 7 came out, like I hadn't played Tekken in years. You remember stuff that you don't even remember. Like you're doing a combo and then you just follow up. It was like, wait, why do I remember
Why
that?
does
Like,
that work?
like I haven't played this in forever, but you just remember some stuff.
Yeah,
So-
I've heard Aries talk on his show on YouTube and how he's playing new characters, or excuse me, not new characters, but he's picking up this game, and he's like, all right, let me pick up this character, and he knows combos from previous games. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, this back forward 2-3, 1-2 or whatever. Oh yeah, that still works. So it's really cool to see like, yeah, if you were an old player, you still know what's going on, and if you're a new player, here's a great move set for every character that talks about it, and the training mode in that. Oh my goodness, getting spoiled in that.
You're definitely spoiled.
Yeah.
You can do just about
Yeah,
anything.
coming from a Smash training
Oh,
mode,
God.
anything is better.
Oh my
than,
goodness.
anything is better than that.
Yeah, so let's talk about Tekken at its brightest. Maybe not at its brightest, but at one of its brightest moments. Evo 2017. We had Echo Fox JDCR end up taking first, going Heihachi and Dragunov. Those are two characters he's known for. Heihachi, the more of the aggressor in comparison to the big three, I suppose. Heihachi's the aggressor. Jin's kind of in the middle. He has like his strong poking game, and then you got Kazuya, who's more of like on the defensive end. So like more bait and punish. And then of course his teammate Saint going Jack 7 got a very close second. Jack is a character I think a lot of people in Tekken are starting to warm up to.
I'm just picking him up now. It's like because I've always wanted to play like a grappler or a heavy type. I just could never get Zangief's combos down in Street Fighters. I just couldn't get the full circle inputs in. But now with Jack, how it's a little easier to do things, or even King, Where instead of doing like full circle moments, it's like 1 and 2, and then when you're in this, do 2-4 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a little easier by pressing buttons, whereas the joystick for me. So yeah, Jack 7 is a really awesome character.
Yep. And then at third place, we got the Legend Knee going Fang, Steve, Brian, and Devil Jin. Like, what the heck? And then, of course, just that next week, we had DreamHack Atlanta, which I had the opportunity to do a little bit of Tekken commentary with, TK as well. We had Anakin, who won, going Paul. Paul, obviously, has the Death Fist. And a lot of players fell victim. A lot of players fell victim to the Phoenix Smashers, what it is.
You know what's actually really funny? So I can't remember what conversation. We must have been having a Tekken conversation Saturday night, because Sunday morning when I woke up, I had like one of those, like, not like a nightmare, but something just like wakes you up.
The Phoenix Smasher, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude, I had a dream that like I was like, fighting somebody in real life, and I did an unsafe move. Like, my life was gone.
And it was a counter hit too, and it was against the wall, so we got another one.
I was just sitting there, I was just like, I've been playing too much Tekken, apparently.
You can never play too much Tekken. Are you crazy?
I've never had a Smash dream like that.
When I first got hit by that punch, I was asking my buddy who was playing with me. I was like, "Whoa, was that his rage art or something? What, this move and he just does it again?" And I was just like, "What?"
Just half circles, triangle.
Man.
Yeah, Paul Phoenix, a very interesting character. Has a lot of not safe, but a lot of get off me moves. A lot of them are going to take a lot of damage. Phoenix Smasher is a notable one. We also got the Demolition Man combo, which I believe is a just frame, and then we also got his down 1+2 as well, which is like a shoulder that kind of pushes the opponent back. So doesn't have a lot of range, but if it hits, it's going to send you flying. It's going to do a reasonable amount of damage. But to continue, we also had Speed Kicks, who I'm a big fan of. Just recently sponsored by Panda Global, plays Harang, win Jack 7 as well. Princess Ling, obviously playing Xiao Yu. Joey Fury going Jack 7, Lil Majin going King, Shinblade playing Nina and Steve, so playing mother and son, or I guess mother and clone. I don't know exactly like that.
I told you I can't figure out what's going on.
I'll tell you in a second. Cody playing Kazuya, Heihachi, and Devil Jin, and then Trungi playing Steve. Now, I guess we'll start at Tekken 3. Kazuya's son is Jin. I think we know that.
I got like the gist of it in Tekken 7. It was really cool in this game is you can buy all the cutscenes with the money that you earn. So I do plan on buying all those.
Well, then I won't spoil it for you then. I mean, unless you want me to, but I won't spoil it for you.
I am a story-driven person. I think when I played Mortal Kombat 9, the reboot in 2011, when you just see like how much work they put into a good story in a fighting game, you just get spoiled by everything like past that. But I know Tekken, especially for how long it's been out, I know it's got something there. So
Tekken's story is it's a beautiful story.
Yeah. So you've gone a little in detail on a couple of our trips, and so I'm excited to like learn more about it.
It's actually pretty fun. Like if you go back to Tekken, back in Tekken 5, I remember as a kid playing like the actual like the side game that they put in there that you can play that was like actually like a part of the story, and I thought that was cool because it was like a 3D like walk around like I didn't care about Jin. I was like, oh, okay, I get to play with Jin in this game and see a little bit of what his story is.
Oh, you talking about are you talking about Tekken Force mode? Tekken Force mode was in Tekken 3 and 4, if I'm not mistaken. There was Tekken Force, and then I don't know if 5 and 5DR had it, but I know that Tekken 6 BR had a story mode as well where you can kind of walk around and fight and do things as such. But yeah, the story modes were actually really cool to see. I've actually never really been a fan of completing story modes. Everything I learned, I just learned just from reading stuff on TekkenZaibatsu.com. As a younger kid, I mean, I'm 24, but when I was younger and I was really into that game competitively.
You're talking about when you were younger, when you're like young man, and then here I am just in the middle, like 30's closing up on me.
Yikes, man. They're right around the corner, man. You're gonna be over the hill pretty soon.
No!
It's coming soon, man. Definitely coming soon.
One thing I want to touch on, you talked about Zangief earlier.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of, I had a customer come in last week, and he told me that he was thinking about me the other day. I was like, oh, man, that's really weird.
The heck?
Yes.
You know, like Harry Shins or something?
Get out of here.
You remind me of Zangief.
Get out of here.
He's a guy that's, he's came in before, and I believe actually what started our conversations, that he was in the store one day and he heard us talking. He was like, you do commentary for Smash? And he was like, oh, that's really cool. So he talks to me about Smash and things of that sort. He works at a bar that's up the street, and normally on Sundays they turn on ESPN and watch whatever sports game is going on. And he said, yeah, so my boss came in, it was a slow day, we had probably about 5 or 6 guys sitting at the bar. and he turns on and Street Fighter's on, and I was like, oh, okay, so it was Evo Sunday. It was like, yeah, so normally we have a bunch of drunk guys, yelling at sports with the TV, and he said it was just really cool to watch, a bunch of grown men that knew nothing about, fighting games or video games in general, just yelling at the TV, talking about, this Zangief guy is cheap. All he does is grab. We don't like him. And I was like, bruh, nobody likes him unless you play him.
Zangief is hype. Right? And I mean, Zangief, he has his quote unquote cheese, but I like Zangief. I like what Snake Eyes did at Combo Breaker, and I love what he did at CEO. And every tournament that he's going to play in afterwards, I'm always a big fan of his. But yeah, Zangief has his ups, definitely has his downs, but it's a character that when you play him, you're kind of committed to. You don't really have too many secondaries and so on and so forth. You're just like, I'm in it for Zangief. That's my guy, Vodka Korvalski. So Vodka Korvalski is actually his original name. My bad. That was a Did You Know gaming moment. My bad. Nobody picked up on that.
Well, I knew all I knew about the Did You Know stuff of Street Fighter was Balrog and Bison and Vega. All of their names were supposed to be different.
Yeah.
But because Bison was supposed to be a play on Tyson, but they thought America wouldn't like that, which I don't.
America, man, censored everything.
Man, true. Honestly, they would have just censored it if they didn't like it.
True.
You know how America is, man. But yeah, so obviously things to talk about, in the future. Obviously we got more tournaments, getting ready to happen underway here. I'm going to Super Smash Con this weekend.
I was going to say the biggest one coming up that I can think of is just a few days away.
Super Smash Con, which is a goal for me, if you will. I watched Smash Con at home the last 2 years. It's going to be my first year there. And I've been prepared for it. I went to Kingslayer 4 in Ohio, wanted to get my strong fix of commentary in. And Kingslayer 4 obviously was also a really, really good event, put together by E2C, the Ohio branch of that as well, as Outer Haven Esports, which were the company that ended up bringing me there and treated me really nice. So huge shout out to them for that. Rich Brown, JK, Myra, so many other top talent was there. Unfortunately, Rich Brown ended up kind of getting slapped up a little early.
Oh, yeah, by my man, the Butt Rambler.
Well, that's not his name. Estrella. He changed his name to Estrella, but Estrella actually ended up beating him. Estrella, a very, very strong Samus man, who actually had the opportunity to play back when his name was the Butt Rambler at Showdown Battle Royale. But yeah, I played him back in December, so it's really nice to see him, come along, as a almost not necessarily a top player, but a high level player, moving from medium to high level. Tailing with top 3 Mewtwo's in the game. Rich Brown, what the heck? How? I don't.
Swiped his credit card. That's.
I guess so.
I'm just playing.
Well, yeah, I mean, he played Samus, so you pay $59.99 for Samus.
What was Samus with it? It was just like, man.
At first she wasn't, but now she is. She is definitely worth it. But SmashCon is going to be a grand experience. I actually don't get until Friday, so I'm going to miss all the panels and all that really fun and cool stuff Thursday.
Hey, did you know that SmashCon was a con?
All right, Sam Sora, you got it. You got it, Sam Sora.
Oh, all right.
Sam censored. You got it. Man. Censored. That's what we're gonna.
Oh no.
That's what we're gonna call it, man. But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, that concludes all of our time here for Hitstun TV. If you guys have been liking, what you've been hearing and watching and so on and so forth, go ahead and shoot the page a follow on Twitter at Hitstun TV, all one word. Of course, my name is Rod the Dutch. You can follow me at the same name, HL_Lincoln, NA_Censor. We got plenty more of episodes to come in the future and a lot more content to display on the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we'll see you.
We out.
It's easy.